Guys, it's Tuesday, and I'm early by a few seconds, mostly because Dave from Slot R is giving me crap in the chat about the only person here is not Marty. That's funny. What's up, guys? Welcome to Tuesday at Two Lines. Hope you guys are doing well. I have to admit, I'm tired. My kids left today, went back home to Colorado, and it's kind of been a whirlwind of a few days, but we've had a blast. It's been so good to have them home. But now Jen and I can catch up on some rest. Busy day at work, but I'm glad to be with you guys. I apologize about missing the stream last night, but we had dinner we had some extended family in town, and aunt and uncle from Florida who live down in Paso Grill. Those of you who are in Florida know that area, the Clearwater, Tampa area. They were up for a few days, and we got to catch up with them. So we went and had dinner at the local Mexican restaurant and had a great meal and lots of laughs, and so it was good. So I apologize for missing the stream last night. I caught up with it, came down late last night and did some work on a couple slot cars I needed to work on. And so I hope you guys are doing well. Hate that I missed that conversation, but it sounds like you talked a lot about tires and tools of slot car tuning, and good stuff. It was really good. So George and Raul and Billy was on, taking my place. I appreciate that, Billy. So who all do we have? Let's take a look at the chat. Who all's here? Hey, Dave. What's up, Slot R? Slot Journal. Had coffee in my mug this morning. I probably could use a cup right now. But I appreciate it, man. You're awesome. There's my brother. What's up, Dusty? Gene is in the house. Slot Car Daddy. Rag Top Pat. Welcome, guys. Glad that everybody is taking a moment out of their Tuesday to come hang and talk some slot cars. I say this every week probably. I don't have a big plan for the conversation tonight, so wherever the chat kind of takes us. But I do want to talk a little bit about last week when I put this on the track right straight out of the box, and I did some work on this car. Some of you know that my Hexcel car, the chassis was broken, and I finally had a chance last night to put the new chassis on, and so I have some news about that. So we'll get into that later. But what else do we have? Looks like Rag Top Pat is talking about fixing breakfast. I saw something about cinnamon and eggs. I'm curious. I like to make omelets, so I may have to try a little bit of cinnamon in that omelet. Yeah. What else do we have? DeFingers is in the house. Garage with slot cars. Hey, Jeremy. Welcome. Glad to have you guys here. Let's see. Curvy 3 Bean is here. Curvy Road is here. De Leon is here. Welcome, guys. Dave is up late. That's for sure, Dusty. All of the UK guys that are on. It's morning in Australia. Hey, Shane. Welcome. Garage of Slot Cars. Legends are sweet cars. I don't have mine. This is one of John Mark's. My brother picked these legend cars up. We've talked about it on the stream before. I wanted to hate these cars so bad because I was like, they're going to be top heavy. They're not going to be fun. And we have had a blast driving these silly things. So, yeah, they're fun cars, man. And I think Dave is tuning on one right now. Hey, Danny, welcome. Hey, George. What's going on, George? Good to hear from you. Hey, Chris. Welcome. How are things up in Columbus? Chris, you're up in Plain City, I think, right? My sister lives in Plain City. And we got to hang out on Saturday. Dusty and my sister Amanda, we put together a gazebo for my dad. I don't know if Dad's watching the live stream tonight. He probably forgot about it. That's okay. But he's probably hanging out in his gazebo. But that was a project. Raul, Pioneer Legends are awesome, easy to make digital as well. Yeah, they're pretty easy cars. The big problem with them is the guide is a mess. But there's some really easy fixes. Harry Wise has a great video on how to fix the guide. I will be honest with you, I didn't go to that extreme. Daryl Rogers had a great idea to use some shrink wrap on the guide pin that the guide snaps up in, and it took a bunch of slop out and really made the guide so much better. So for those of you tuning on Legends, that's actually an easy way. Hey, Daryl's in the house. Billy's in the house. Billy, thanks. You did a great job stepping in, but you're not stealing my job on Monday nights. I'm not giving it up that easy. No, you did fine. Great talk. Wild Man is here. What's up? Hey, Steve. Welcome. Yeah, Chris, I saw that you had your track set up outside. That's pretty cool. It's Carrera, so if it would have gotten wet, you'd have been okay. It wouldn't have rusted on you. I just wouldn't let it sit out there too long. Let's see who else. My basement background is compatible with yours. Yeah, it is. Yeah, well done. Let's see who else we have in the house. I thought I saw previous to John. Marty, the news from over here is I might develop the same problem with Legends that I have with the Revo slots. Uh-oh. Yeah. You do have a little problem with Revo slots. That's okay. That's a great car to have a problem with. I love those things. They are fun to drive. And easy tuners. Did you get a haircut? Did I get a haircut? Slot car daddy? No, I think it's just I just kind of have it brushed back. I think it's the headphones. No, my wife would love for me to get a haircut. She says it's getting way too long. Yes, Raul ran the Elva. It looked like it was quick, Raul. It looked like it was quick. That was good footage you sent me. I appreciate the video. And it was fun. Yeah, I hope you like it. I have plans to do that a few more times. There's some layouts out there that I would love to see a couple of my cars. So we may have to do that again. Daryl, I'll pick out a car and get Daryl and I to tune it together. We've that seemed to work out pretty well. He tunes, I test, and then we send it out. Nothing like a cup of roast in the Slotosaurus Rex mug. That's right. I posted a video of the coffee making process, and in the end, I made a cappuccino in the Slotosaurus Rex mug. Mark, I don't know if you saw that or not. It's a YouTube video that doesn't have anything to do with slot cars, so I'm sure the algorithm did not push it out to anybody. It doesn't have very many views, but it's my coffee making process, and I had to steam the milk one-handed and film, and it got a little foamy, so I went from making a latte to a cappuccino just because I over-steamed the milk, so it was a little thick. So there was no latte art happening. So anyway, man, bunch of guys. If I miss somebody, I apologize, guys. Yeah, Chris had to put on the rain tires. Nice. Hey, Shawnee. Welcome. Hey, John Tucci. Yeah, John, it's a fun car. I mean, honestly, and I think they're kind of expensive for what they are, but They're fun. You got to get the tires trued on them. That really, really helps. At least the fronts. We went to silicone on the back, and that gave them some hookup. Hey, Rob, welcome. Frankie Tomatoes. Hey, Frankie, thanks. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Creating content it can wear on you. But this community, I love what we have on Tuesdays. I love what we have on Mondays. I look forward to all the content that releases on Saturday now. That's so much fun. Massimo usually has a video that releases, and Travis usually releases something. Pete over across the pond usually releases something. Then he has his Sunday morning live stream, which I never get to. I always lead worship at church on Sunday mornings, and I never get to tune in. I would love to have a chance to jump in on that one, but yeah. No title for the stream. I don't know. I must have forgot something when I set it up. But I appreciate that. Thanks. Question. On average, how long does it take you to be happy with a tuning job? Just two legends. Steve, that's a great question. It depends. So I guess I'll jump right in. And I'll answer your question. I'll keep shouting out some Sean E., The Fingers, Chris, Peter. Hey, Peter. Welcome, man. George is in the house. Area 51. Mark from Slot Journal. Sean, saw your video, you singing. Yeah, man. Nobody wants to hear that, Sean. Yeah, no jingle. There won't be a 2 lines jingle or anything like that. No theme song. That's funny. Johnny Pro, the theme song. That's great. Get Marty a guitar. Marty has guitars. He doesn't need another guitar. But yeah, maybe I'll bring my guitar on one of the streams one time. I wish I had much hair left. I'm way behind on the. So let me get to Steve's question. Steve asked, how long do I tune until I say I'm done? So last week on the stream, we pulled this car out. This is the Thunderslot McLaren. We don't need to replay the video. We all saw Marty de-slot multiple times. And I could hear John Albright yelling at me, clean the tires. And then after the stream was over, I got a text from him and it said, I was screaming, clean the tires. So after the stream last week, I started tuning. I did my baseline tune. I put out a video about it. Like reasons why you should always tune your slot car before you throw it on the track. It was kind of making fun of what happened on Tuesday. So, it was a serious video, but it kind of had a joke behind it, kind of making fun of me, which you guys know that I don't mind being the butt of jokes. I self-deprecation is a spiritual gift of mine. I like to make fun of myself. I did a few things. I lubed, just kind of gave the motor pod some float, gave it a little bit of body float. I did not change the guide yet. I put a little bit of strapping tape across because once I adjusted the motor pod, it went from running 9-second laps to running under 8 seconds, which is for a Nomag on my track is fast with very little tuning. So Steve, some cars, I don't have to spend a ton of time tuning them. I know enough now, I feel like, that I can do some basic stuff without ever putting the car on the track and know that it's probably going to be okay. And then I start tweaking from there. So I adjusted the motor pod. I gave it some body float. I set up the front how I like to set the fronts of my cars up. Adjusted the ride height on the nose. Gave it some grease and some oil on all the bushings. Threw it back on the track and then ran 8-second flat. Ran a 7.97, which was fast. And then I super glued the mirrors because quickly those break off, very fragile. I did that. When I was going around the track, there was some clicking. So I put a little bit of strapping tape across the front. That might be a little too much. I think that I have a little too much tape on. I'm going to run some tests just to make sure, but I think that's probably a little too much tape. And then John Albright sent me a message and said, "Hey, have you noticed that on Thunder Slot chassis, there are 4 holes. There's one right there. There's 4 holes on the bottom on the outside edge between the tires, between the wheels. And the holes are a M2 grub screw. So a 3mm M2 grub screw. And so I put that in, and it's supposed to give you some consistent body float front to back. And those screws ride on some pieces of plastic that are molded into the body. And when I did that, man, that really settled the car down. It's a fast car. So, Steve, long answer. I've probably got about an hour of true tuning, maybe an hour and a half of driving, tweaking. But honestly, I had the car pretty close after about 10 minutes. I have other cars that I've spent way more time tuning. I have some cars that I'm still not done tuning. I have an assignment on this car that I need to add some weight. I need to move, tighten my motor pod. So I got to do these in baby steps. But this is a new chassis on the Hexel because I had a chassis that broke. And that car, its best lap, this was an 8.5. Best lap, Group C inline. So they're not the fastest cars, but they run really well on the track. They're just a fun drive. I'm really happy with this car. I put the new chassis on, got it set up pretty much how I had the other car set up, and it ran an 8.3 almost immediately. So I think the car's a little better with the new chassis. I think it's just because I know a little bit more about tuning and I've got it set up a little better, but it's still a little bit tail happy. So I've got a few things that I want to do to see if I can calm that down. I know it's an inline. They tend to be a little tail happy. Let's see. 3 Bean Coffee. I'm way behind on the chat, guys. Sorry. He tunes, you test, who crashes? I do plenty of crashing. I proved that last week on the live stream, Gary. Hey, Marty, how do you feel about the Chaparral? Are you buying one? That's a good question. You know what? I've not ever been a big fan of that car. I love Can-Am cars. We know this. I talk a lot about it. They're my favorite slot cars that I own. But the Chaparral always looked kind of goofy to me with that wing way up high. But I've seen some video of the new Chaparral from Slotted. I like it. It'll be in my list. I have a running list of cars I want to pick up. Right now, the car that's on the top of that list is the Fat Turbo Group C. I need another Group C. I like to have a backup in case something happens. So I only have the one Group C. So I'm going to pick up a Fat Turbo just because I like the Porsche. I like the 962. And but the Chaparral, it's on my list. It's down there a ways, but I think that's a car that'll stick around for a little bit. I don't think it'll sell out real soon. But I think it's a cool car. I didn't used to like it, but it really is growing on me. John Schaefer, welcome, man. Good to have you again. Let's see. I'm skipping. Peter, is that my coffee machine in the video? Yes, that's in my kitchen. That's an Expo bar, which is made in Spain. Espresso machine that I bought probably 6 years ago. And that's one of my other hobbies, coffee. And it's great. I would like to upgrade it at some point, but upgrading it is going to cost me a pretty penny. So my next machine will be a double boiler and pretty nice machine. So, but yes, that is my kitchen. That is my coffee, my espresso machine. Yeah, here's the thing. My grinder cost more than my espresso machine, which is not atypical. That's typical. You'll spend more having a quality grinder. You can't make good coffee with a bad grinder. So if you start researching that, that's what you'll find out. Speaking of coffee, you guys thank you so much for how you're supporting Roast Coffee, my channel sponsor. And I'll flash it up here just so that we, roastcoffee.com, use 2 lines, gets you 25% off your first purchase. You can get a coffee subscription, 20% off the lifetime of the subscription. Order a bag of beans. For the price, at 20% off, a bag of beans is a great price. So Trent is very gracious to offer that to us, and a lot of you guys are taking advantage of it, and I thank you. I go into the coffee shop, and now there are other people that work at the coffee shop that is like asking about the YouTube channel, asking about you guys ordering coffee and if you're enjoying their coffee. So there's a connection there that's happening that's really, really cool. Not just Trent, but other baristas, Greg and a few other guys. That's really kind of a cool thing to see. So I appreciate you supporting them. If you're in the market for some beans and you want some great quality, well-roasted beans, Roast, they have quite a selection right now. But the Brazil, I'm telling you, the Brazil is, for me, it's where it's at. It's a single origin bean. It's so good, especially if you're doing espresso. If you're doing pour overs and things like that, some of the other beans are really, really good. But they just don't espresso as well. So, hold on, my wife is yelling for me. What? Yeah, I'm in a live stream. My wife has now entered the live stream for the first time. That's funny. Shane, welcome, Shane Ross. John Albright, welcome. Hey, Daryl. Gosh, I feel like I haven't said hi to everybody. John Tucci. 63 watching, 6 likes. Steve, that's funny. Yeah, that's typical. It's okay. It's all good. Hey, Bricks. Welcome. Hey, DK Moon. DK Moon, the tuning is not... Oops, I had it up already. The tuning isn't finished until you beat Dusty with it. Yeah. He's got to come over, though, for me to beat him with it. So, let's see here. Chris, different Clarksburg. That's the big Clarksburg in West Virginia. Dusty lives near the little Clarksburg in Ohio. That's great. DK, that doesn't take much. That's funny. Hey, Slot Car Dojo, welcome. Thanks to Slot Car Dojo, I started painting some of my turns. I've got one semi-done. I'm going to add one more thing to it. I'll post it on Instagram as I get it finished. I just need to pick up the paint. I need a couple more colors. So, but thanks for the inspiration. That was fun. I don't think I picked up any traction from how I painted it, from that paint that I used. Maybe if I tried another type of paint, maybe it would work. But it didn't make it any worse. So cars still seem to hang in the turn just fine. So, but it's been fun. It looks good. Let's see, who else? How do you put strapping tape across the? Let's see. How do you put strapping tape across it? Have to adjust the trip motor pod where you want it. Doesn't that defeat the purpose? So Ragtop Pat. So when you loosen that motor pod, sometimes you can hear a car chatter. It's like just a clicking sound. And somebody may have already answered this in the chat because I am way behind. So those are 2.5s. Yes, you're right. George, you are right. They're 2.5 M25s. I had to look at the package, not 2s, 2.5s, because it is a Thunder slot. They use 2.5s. We can talk about that some more. I can actually take that car apart if we want to talk about it. But the strapping tape, it doesn't take a whole lot. Like I said, I think that's a little too much. It was a piece that I had already cut. It was just laying there, so I slapped it on. But you can hear the chatter. Another thing you could do is take the motor pod apart and maybe sand the edges just to give it a little more room to move without touching the rest of the chassis. But it doesn't really defeat the purpose. It still lets that motor pod move. It just kind of dampens it a little bit. It takes away the noise. Now, I will say that I ran the fastest lap with that car without strapping tape. But the noise was driving me a little crazy. That chatter was just a little too much. And I was like, I just wanted to quiet it down. So I threw that tape on. It quieted it down, but it was like a tenth. It made the car, and maybe it's in my mind, but like a tenth slower. I was able to run a 7.7 with this stock, which is flying. And then with the tape, I was running 7.8s and 7.9s. I never got back down to that 7.7 range. And that could have just been a lucky lap. Let's just be honest. It's probably not the tape. But the tape really quieted that down. It still allows that pod to move. It prevents that chatter. It slows the movement of the pod down a little bit, from what I understand. It wasn't my idea to try the tape, but lots of people have told me that that's how you take care of that chassis chatter. So, yeah, try it out. If you have a car that's kind of making some noise and you don't know what that noise is, it's probably that if it has a motor pod. So, yes, George, 2.5s. So we setup time, normally 10 to 15 minutes, or like tonight, 2+ hours because I screwed up, but fix it. Let's see. Why do you put? Okay. Yeah, I was tracking with you. I had it. Hey, Grandson of Man. Welcome. Glad you're here. So, Slot Journal, is there something inherently better than strapping tape versus any other tape? For me, strapping tape just sticks better. But sometimes that reinforced tape, the strapping tape, it maybe doesn't move enough. So I have used electrical tape. And electrical tape will do the same thing. It'll quiet that chassis and allow a little bit more movement, just because that's what the just the nature of that tape. But I find that eventually that tape loses its stickiness and comes off. Now, I know that there are a lot of people who use like Gorilla Tape, the black Gorilla Tape, which is like a duct tape, and that works too. It doesn't quite have the reinforcement, so it maybe allows for a little more movement. So really, like George says, tune for your track. You have to tune for your track. So try the tape that you like, and they all do the same thing, just different levels of stickiness and different levels of stiffness. So the strapping tape is just a little stiffer because it's got that reinforcement in it. Hope that answers your question, Mark. Yeah, Rob, very good. Yep, no stretch. It doesn't stretch. Electrical tape will stretch on you, and once it stretches, then it kind of loses. I end up having to replace it all the time. So, but I've got some of the Gorilla tape, and it does a good job too. I've used it. Yeah, tape acts like a shock absorber. Strapping tape does not distort, expand. Yeah. How do you adjust body float on a Carrera Digital 132? Shane, to get body float on you have to loosen the body screws on a Carrera car. Sometimes you have to take the extra effort to sand the edge of the body or the edge of the I would say the edge of the chassis to allow some movement between the body and the chassis. So some sandpaper or even emery board, like for fingernail files and things like that, just to create some space between the body and the chassis. Another thing that you can do is you can use body float screws and replace the Carrera screws with body float screws because they have that shaft on them where there's no thread, and it'll allow the body to move a little bit. There are people who shave the body posts a little bit to give some float from there. The Carrera cars, it's a little harder to get float. You can do it in 1/32 scales. You cannot. It's impossible on the 124 cars. Yeah, it's probably not impossible, but yeah, as soon as on a 124 scale, as soon as you loosen a screw, we found out they fall out all over the place. So Shane, I hope that helps. Hey, Raymond, welcome. Yeah, good point, George. It does. The strapping tape will calm down a little fishtailing. If you got a car that's really tail happy, a lot of that is in how you've got your pod adjusted. So I think I might need to tighten this pod up a little bit because I'm still a little tail happy. It's fast, but it'd be great if I could get on the trigger a little bit faster on it. Shane, it doesn't help enough to worry about it. Yeah, loosen the body screws is a start. Yeah, no, this is a great place to ask that question. We've talked about, I did a video a long time ago, or we talked about body float, and I talked a lot about that. And after I released the video, I got so much feedback from that video from people, like great feedback, telling me, hey, here's some other things to try that I wasn't even aware of. So there's some really good information out there on body float and on strapping tape, and maybe George, maybe that's one of those things one of us needs to do some content on. Danny is nothing like being in the pool, enjoying the weather, and watching two lines. Nice. I'm kind of red. I look like I've been in the pool, but I was playing pickleball with my kids the last couple of days. So we've had some fun, but we've spent some time out in the sun. Yeah, the new Momo 962 daily on that. Yeah. The Newman 962 coming out. I was talking to John Albright about that one today. That's going to be sweet too. Yeah, so by this run of slotted Group C cars, I might end up with 4 962s. Fat Turbo, Newman, Momo. Yeah. Let's see here. Tighten the body fully. Make sure pod is centered. Apply tape. Adjust the pod screws last. Yeah, that's great advice, Rob. Sometimes I don't do that, and it still helps. But I think that's the proper way, is to tighten them up, put the tape on, and then loosen. But let's see here. What else? What else do we have? John, your what arrives tomorrow? Your 962? Nice. That's cool. crashing into grass is easier on cars. Yeah. Yeah, Danny does have the right idea, Dusty. Strapping tape can dampen the pod movement too much sometimes. Quality electrical tape is a good option. Yeah, John, I just haven't had good luck with the electrical tape that I've had. So I must not be buying quality electrical tape. So I'll have to look for that, something a little nicer, because what I have just doesn't like to stick on that plastic, on the chassis. So yeah, I would agree. Sometimes the strapping tape, what I ended up doing is going smaller with the strapping tape, but it still takes care of that chatter, and which for me, I've become kind of addicted to really quiet, smooth cars, and trying to tune and not every car can be like super smooth, quiet. But I really like a car that's very quiet and very smooth, and yeah, the tape does help with that for sure. It'll remove that clicking sound that let's see, my burr grinder and coffee maker cost about the same price. Too much. Yeah, Chris, it is an expensive hobby. Yeah, I think I probably have $800 or $900 in my grinder. And I bought it used off of Trent. I think it was $800. It was probably $1,500 new. Yeah. Yeah, Chris, the home blend. Yeah, that's nice. So while I'm way behind. Dusty wrecks it. Yeah. Yeah. Jen being part of the show. Yeah, when she goes back and watches this, oh, wait, I don't have to worry about that. Hey, Steven. Welcome, man. Steven, I'm getting ready to put some lights in a car. I'm hoping that now that my kids are gone, I'll have some slot car time to work on some slot cars. So, yeah. Yeah, so you like the change of the curb? I think I like it on the turn. It looks good. What else? Yeah, I've got some other ideas. Like, well, you look at like some of the tracks now, like Spain for the F1 race this past weekend, of all the red and green that they've got on the Spain track. It looked fantastic. If you look at the Circuit of Americas, there's all this pavement, and they've done this paint designs as part of the advertisement with the stars and stuff. Some of that looks really, really good. But honestly, I don't know that I want to go that elaborate, but it was fun painting one of the corners. And it's that far corner back here. Yes. And that wall we nicknamed the Rob Snyder Memorial. Our buddy Rob came over about a month and a half ago and raced, maybe it's been longer than that, a couple months ago, and raced slot cars with us. And we were racing digital, and he kept crashing into that wall. I mean, hard. He was racing John Mark's Corvette C8 Carrera Corvette, and we nicknamed it the Rob Snyder Memorial Turn because he just crushed that turn. So when next time he comes over, I'm going to have a little sign painted. So that's been the fun. So that's why I started with that turn, painting the curbing. So that was fun. Let's see. What else? DK Moon, I am behind you 15 minutes ago. All right. Hey, Gerardo, welcome. Man alive. I am way behind. I'm just fast forwarding. I apologize if I missed any questions. If I missed something, please repeat it. Conquest Racing, you're right. Most of the careers, magnets don't really need flow body screws. I use them mainly in my NASCAR. Suggestions to quiet the Revo Porsche 911. Vin. Probably some people already answered this. Where does everyone buy light kits from the older cars without lights? Oh, Jonathan, I don't know. Like Carrera light kits, I don't see them out there. I think you just rob them from other cars. Hey, Alan. Marty made time to stop in and say, hey, shout out to all the slot heads. Hey, thanks, Alan. Appreciate it. Okay, this is not the 911 Revo. Vin, I'm going back to your question. But you can, let me get it to focus. So where those chassis screws, you can take, there's a couple different things you can do. That noise comes from the chassis chattering, and a lot of people will take like black Gorilla duct tape and make take little pieces and put between the screw and the brass nut that holds the chassis together, where the float comes from, and then other people use like little O-rings. But really anything that would dampen that, and it will really quiet that car down. It's worth doing. It takes some energy and effort, and then you need some Loctite, some thread lock once you break those brass brass nuts off the screws. They're held on with thread lock. So you want to pick up some thread lock, some light. You don't need heavy duty stuff, and lock those back on. But you don't want to over tighten them because you want to continue to have that chassis movement for that body, that motor pod. But you want something that will dampen that. And I'll just be honest with you, I just use some black Gorilla tape. This strapping tape would work too. Just cut little pieces, poke a hole for the screw to go through, and you just basically put it in between the two pieces of chassis, and sandwich it in there. And but it's got to be loose enough to allow the movement, but it will definitely quiet the car down for sure. And that's what most people are doing. I like the swish. Let's see here. Hey, Steven. Thanks, man. Let's see. I would love it if my cars were loud like a Ford 427. Yeah, that's a little different sound though, right, Steve? Cloverleaf Racing. I'm not sure what that was for. Sorry. Have you chosen the patients for the... Yeah, so John, you asked, that's a good question. So who's getting the light kits? The SRC will get one of them, mainly just because I think it's made for it. So I'll probably put a light kit in this. The other one we talked about was buying a new car to build for the wood track. Maybe just like a project car for Dusty and I to work on together here and tune on and learn from, and probably put a set in that. So I think that's where it's going to land. One of the videos that I'm working on now is a shootout video, and so that's one of the things that I did want to talk about tonight. So let's go back and see. People plan on watching 24-hour Le Mans this weekend. I've been looking forward to the Le Mans race for a year now. So yes, I will be watching. I've already been watching some of the practice. There've been some YouTube videos posted with just some footage. There was a V8 Camaro set up like a NASCAR running. Somebody was videoing, and I thought that was interesting that they were just doing some testing, I think. No worries, man. No worries, Ragtop Hat. Oh, Steve, you got the blue McLaren. Nice. I am still in love with the orange. I really, really like that car. It's a Steve, you will not be disappointed. It is a great car. Any of the Thunder slots are. But definitely looks like a lot of guys will be watching the 24-hour race. That's fantastic. Some Revos are louder than others. Yeah, I think, my 911 was a little quieter than my 333 Ferrari, but they're both about the same. they sound the same going around the track now that I've done the same tuning to both of them. So, yes, on the thread lock, I have a Revo slot screw in the grass. Ordered new set from LEB. Yeah. You definitely need to put some thread lock on it. The other thing you can do is you put a little bit of super glue right on the top. That will keep them from backing out too. But you definitely, once you've loosened them, you definitely need to. Yeah, the Toyota, the SRC, it's a sweet car. I would really like to get one of the white kits of the new Porsche that they're releasing too. They are really, really. John, all you need is a touch of clear nail polish. Yes, I've done that same thing. That's actually what I have on this. But in my toolbox, I had thread lock. So I threw it in my slot car box out of the garage. So it's easy. But yeah, if you already have clear nail polish, use that. Great idea. What was that? I saw somebody said the wrong Loctite. Yeah, you don't need the heavy duty Loctite. You just need the normal lightweight thread lock. Yeah, you just have to have the right kind. Yeah, you don't need heavy duty, then you'll never get it apart. Let's see. Yeah, I think you just have to pick the right stuff. But yeah, there's lots of things you can use. Yeah, the nail polish is great. I've used that before too. You can use clear nail polish for lots of things. It makes a pretty good glue that has a little slower set time. You can kind of work with it, and I know a lot of guys do that with their tires. They use nail polish to glue their tires on. Yes, looks like we have lots of 24-hour fans. Yep, that's a great idea. Let's see what else. My wife just said, "Look, you look like Keith Hernandez." You mean the Keith back and to the left? Keith Hernandez? The Seinfeld episode. That's one of the best Seinfeld episodes when Kramer and Newman have a run-in with Keith Hernandez, and he spits on Kramer. Oh my gosh, we are way off topic now. I apologize, but Vin, that is fantastic. I will take that as a compliment. Thank your wife. VRC Hobbies has light kits. That's cool. More interested in the SRC Porsche 963. Yeah, Chris, Porsches, man. Yeah, blue. George must be referring to the blue, the blue version of this, the McLaren. Okay, shoe goo. There is Loctite for plastic. Yeah, it's just the lightweight thread lock. That's all I have. I don't have anything heavy duty. So I didn't mean to freak everybody out with the Loctite. Yeah, shoe goo is a great option for gluing your motor in. If you have a motor that moves on you in the chassis, I've used shoe goo for that. Right. You're right, Daryl. Don't ask me to help you move. Yeah, the SRC Porsche Grandson of Man, I agree. Chris, that's going to be a nice car. And I know that because the Toyota is a fantastic car. And it was my first white kit that I've ever done, and I'll be honest, I really enjoyed building that. It was fun. It really taught me a lot about the inner workings of a slot car. I mean, I know we've been tuning on them. I know that we take them apart and clean them and do, they're simple machines, right? But something about building it from the ground up, axles, wheels, the whole 9 yards, putting paint on the body. It was just a fun experience for me. I will definitely do it again. I keep threatening to get a white kit and make it a Rost sponsored car, and put some Rost logos on it. So that's one of the things I still want to do. Loctite blue is serviceable. Red is permanent. Green is really permanent. Yeah, it's the blue. Yep. Thanks for differentiating. Save guys. Yeah, blue, never red. Hey, Eric, no worries, man. You're never late. It's just, you just catch it when you can. More of a Toyota guy, but also digging the Porsche recently. Yeah. No, I love the Toyota, but I think it would just be, they're nice cars. They really are. I think they're just I just was fascinated with the chassis. I think the chassis design on it's really nice. It's definitely, like, it's a longer wheelbase car, and I was expecting it to be really like fishtail a lot. And the way this chassis works, man, it just settles all that down, and it's locked in. It gets around the track. It runs 7.9s on the track with a 21K motor. So, yeah, I mean, it's actually a little slower motor than most of my other cars, and it runs in the 7.9s. So Porsche has 3 special liveries for Le Mans. More options next year. I am really, Dusty and I are both, we are loving the Rexy livery on the Porsche in the IMSA race. And I just, if there are any slot car companies listening to this live stream, and I know that there's not, I know that nobody's watching that has any influence on that, but that livery is, the Rexy livery is awesome, and somebody needs to do that car. Or even at least make the decal set so that we could do it. But I mean, I think NSR is already making that body, or no, Revo Slot's already making that 911 body. That would be awesome to have a Rexy Revo Slot. That would be awesome. There are over 40 times. Wow. I did not know that Loctite, I was going to say the wrong thing with Loctite. Yeah, it's the blue, guys. The blue Loctite. But yeah, they have glues, and they've gotten into all kinds of things. Yes, the fingers. Gold choice. They are working on a BMW hypercar. That would be cool. Yeah, Dusty, I look forward to racing against that. Now you just need to figure out. Yeah, Scaly has the body, too, to do that Rexy. The Viagra car needs to be done. I heard they said it was just too hard, George. Yeah, I have no idea. I have no clue. I don't know what George is talking about. That's great. So one of the videos I'm working on is a shootout video. And so I want to ask you guys, what do you think? What is SRC? SRC, what is SRC? Like, so SRC is a slot car company from Spain. They are big Porsche fans. The first SRC I ever got to race was John Mark's little 914. He actually has 2 of them. He has an orange one, a white, and 2 white ones. And then he has one of the racing models. But it's a good slot car company. But then they started making great slot cars, and I think this is a fantastic car. So yeah, check SRC out if you're not. Yep. That was so bad. Yeah, DeFingers. We keep us on the straight and narrow, DeFingers. We appreciate that. Curvy. Yeah, we're good for some laughs tonight, right? Everyone is doing shootouts now. Well, it came from last week's live stream, Raul. But yeah, it's they're all where everybody's doing unboxings, and then everybody's doing shootouts, and then it'll be a cycle. We'll cycle through all these. But Daryl thought I should do a shootout between the McLaren Thunder Slot and the NSR GT40. So, what are your thoughts? Is that a good shootout? Would that be a good video? John Albright. Slicks Decals makes the 124 to Viagra set. Hey, no worries, man. You are welcome anytime. Anytime. Where did you get the 919? Oh, Steve, you're asking where did I get this? This was sent to me by one of the subscribers for me to build for the channel to create content with. So we could do a shootout between the Thunder Slot and the Toyota. Not the same class, but would be a competitive shootout. The Thunder Slot McLaren versus the GT40. They probably raced against each other on the track. Quite a few shootouts. Nico did a great one with 4 cars. Yeah, I agree. That was a great video. Which super tires? Oh, Steve, which super tires fit the SRC? I am running 1403s on this SRC Toyota. 1403 super tires. Fit perfect. You probably could go 1402s, 1404s if you wanted a little taller tire. But the 1403s, it slams it on the ground and it performs really well. So hopefully that helps. Do the slot at Chaparral and the Thunder Slot McLaren head-to-head. Area 51, that is a great idea. So maybe I just need to order a Chaparral and do that shootout. What about the Elva versus the McLaren? That would be a pretty even shootout, I think. Peter says, De Leon did one with the GT40 versus 2. Yeah, Mark 1 versus 2. Yeah, that I watched that. That was a great video from De Leon. George, I like that idea. Maybe I'll order Chaparral tomorrow because I need to order the Fat Turbo, and so maybe I'll do a twofer and order that in and do that. Marty, as you like Can-Am cars, have you tried the old Vanquish? Peter, I have not tried any of the Vanquish cars. One, I've not found one, but I've seen a few. George has one of the Shadow. And they look like they're really nice cars. So yeah, maybe one day I'll find one. Dusty ordered a bunch of super tires yesterday from Cincy Slots. John Albright is putting his money on the Thunder Slot. Probably a good bet, John. Joseph. Hey, Joseph. Welcome, man. Good to have you. We haven't had a chance to chat in a while. Hey, that's actually a great idea. That's actually a fantastic idea. The McLaren versus the Shadow. See, I'm getting into a place where maybe it needs to be like what Nico did in a 4-car shootout. maybe it's more than just 2 cars. But the Shadow McLaren, I like that. That would be interesting. McLaren versus Elva. Curvy. Here's the thing. This Elva is running a Predator 25K motor. This thing is stinking fast. What's crazy is this McLaren is running a stock Thunderslot motor. It's only, let's see, 7.4. It's only 0.3 off of this car with a 25K motor. So that's what's impressive. So what I should do is put the original Thunderslot motor back in this Elva and run them head-to-head that way. That would be a really, really good test, because then it would be testing the tuning on both cars, and that would really give me a good test of whether I've got this thing tuned in fairly well, because I think they should be really, really close. 100th Le Mans do GT40 Mark II versus CRS, the SRC LMP. That's actually that is kind of fun. These are all great ideas. McLaren versus Elva. Yeah, Chris, McLaren and Elva. But I like throwing the MR slot Shadow in. So has everybody moved off of the Shadow? I ran, let's see, the week before, I ran about 100 laps with this thing. And I was able to drop like 0.2 just by getting more laps in. I think it's just the motor breaking in. This car is getting really, really fast, and it handles really well. John Mark did some laps in it, and I think he kind of fell in love with it. But yeah, this is a good car. It really is. I think it's the best MR slot car out there. It's 0.3 faster than my other, and I still have not set up the front end. But I did get the grub screws to set up the front end, but I still haven't set up the front end, and this thing's running 8.2s like consistently. So I think it's got more in it. I think I think this can be the 4th car no mag that gets under 8 seconds. I think it's the next one that can do it. So let's see what else we have. What time is it? It's 9:02. Okay. Let's see. Shadow versus McLaren. John, we already know how it's going to play out. The McLaren will kick its butt right now. But like I said, it's getting faster. The Shadow just keeps getting better and better and better the more I run it. Daryl, I'm going to Cincy Slots to get tires tomorrow. Nice. I don't see companies racing to build a 3rd-generation Mazda RX-7. What's up with that? Vin, I don't know. I mean, I think that the Mazda LMP car, or I think that's what it is, it seems popular in the slot car world. There's a slot that makes one. MR slot car makes one. They look great. I'd like to have one in my collection. But an actual RX-7, I don't know that. Maybe it's just not a popular car. I don't have a good answer for you. My Thunderslot GT 350 about the McLaren M6 are all very tail happy. It's like they only want to go backwards. So the M6's Ragtop Pat. This car's not tail happy. So the first thing I would do is, what are you doing with your tires? That would be the first question I would ask, which is going to be a huge part of that. Are you getting enough traction? If they're rubber, what are they? Are you doing some rubber some treatment on the tires? So that's the first thing I would look at. Motor pot adjustment. I think I am at a three-quarter turn on all of the motor pod screws on this, I think, which is how it came from the factory. It had a little bit of pod float already, and it really is not tail happy. It gets down the it gets around the track. So that's where I would start. And I plan on breaking this down and doing a little more detail. It was kind of the car I focused on my last video, which was reasons why you should tune a car. I didn't really go into detail of what I did to the car. So maybe I need to do that. I know that George has a video, and I know that Harry Wise has a video tuning these cars. So I would check those out. But yeah, you should not have a problem with this car being too tail happy. Yeah, I think that's an easy fix. Yeah, remove the 2 side pod screws. I didn't have to on this. It's performing well with them in. I could pull them out and run some tests and see if I pick up any. But I was getting enough pod movement without removing them, Raul. But they are out of this one. You can see it. So they're out of my Elva. So yeah, that's a good start, and maybe that's where Ragtop Pat needs to start, just to make sure he's getting enough float in that motor pod. My fat Porsche, your fat turbo Porsche, can beat your Shadow. My Hexcel, which is the same car as the fat turbo, it's close now. It's running 8.3s. This is running 8.2s and 8.1s. So it's just, my Shadow is just a little bit faster. John drove and it still has wing. I know. It's hard to believe. McLaren M6A versus McLaren Elva. Yeah, Alan, I think that would be a really good, like I said, though, I think I would need to put the stock motor back in this. The Predator 25K motor has a little bit of magnet downforce effect. I'm sure this does a little bit too. I am designing and working on a Marshall magnet, thanks to Jim sent me a picture of his. Jim Carson sent me a picture of his last week. It looked very easy to make. So I'm going to do a video on making your own magnet Marshall without buying a new one, even though I may eventually buy. Piranha makes one that I'm really intrigued by. Looks great. But I think I can turn my $8 scale into a Marshall magnet pretty quick and easy. So I'm going to work on that this week. So I'll make that a video so others can do that if they would like. But I think a magnet Marshall is kind of good to see. So we can put cars on a level playing field. So if I do a shootout between these two, I would want to make sure that they're pretty even. You should do a shootout video or live stream. You and Dusty put your cars to the test. Which one is really the fastest? Gary, maybe that's what I'll do. That would be different because I was planning on just making sure that both cars were tuned up and then do some laps with each one. Do a 10-lap race with each one and compare the times, the overall time, and then what has the fastest lap times in those. But it might be fun to maybe grab Dusty and let us both race both cars in both lanes and see how we do from a lap count total and go from there. That's a great idea. I'll see if Dusty's up for that. McLaren F1 from MR Slot Car is a very fast car as well. Yeah. I haven't played with the McLaren yet. Dusty has it, and we'll get it on the track, and we'll see. But 25K has advantage on the fast sections, but the 21K will outrun it in the tight stuff unless you play with gearing. Yeah, John, that's a great point. I will admit I do not mess much with gearing, mainly because I haven't bought a bunch of pinion gears and spur gears, and I don't have that in my box. And so I haven't gone down that road yet, playing with gearing. I know the more we play on this big wood track of Butch's, I'm going to have to go down that rabbit hole, but I haven't at this point. I just try to get the cars tuned the best they can with the motor that they come with, that they have. Now, I have swapped out motors with the Elva a few. I've had the 22.5 bearing motor in this. I've had the 25K motor in this. I had to retune some of this after Raul's Elva crushed my track record. I had to get it back with my Elva. So I had to do some work there and put the 25K motor back in. But that 25K is, man, yeah, and the long straight, that's a great, great motor. So I agree. Is the dog in the group of cars, Marty? Will H is the dog. I'm missing what you're saying, DeFingers. Is Finn my dog? What's the dog of the group of cars that I have sitting here? Well, I mean, I think my slower cars are my fly cars. But what I've kind of brought up here, the slowest car that I have out on the table right now is probably the Revo. Only just because it weighs 25 or 30 grams. It's heavier than all the other cars. Let's see. Clean track surface is often missed. Yeah. I usually clean my track every week, wipe it down. Usually on Sundays when we run, we wipe it down before we run. VIN wide body. Tires and a little weight in the right areas will help a tail-happy car. Yeah, Chris. Yep. I find that a lot of people want to add weight to the rear for a car that's tail-happy, and that doesn't usually work for me. Pushing the weight forward tends to help in the experience that I have. Trying to get the balance right, because it's really what the problem is the balance is off. Yeah, I don't know, Dust. That's opinion. I do have more laps in because of the being on the home track. It's in my house, but there are days you're running good lap times, man. It's been fun to watch. You get faster. You and John Mark both. Daryl, have you played with the 3-point configuration too? Hey, Mad P, welcome. Shining Stick slot car. How about a motor in the same car shootout? 25K motor comparison. Predator, Piranha. That's a great shootout. I'll have to go through my box and see what all I have. I know that I have the 25K Predator. Shining Sticks, I need to write that down. That's actually a great idea. I'm sure somebody else has done this, but that would be a fun. Put that same motor in all those motors in the same car, and let it be with the same tuning, and just see what the difference is with the motor. So my layout is kind of got a little bit of both. It's got two fairly long straights, but then it has this wonderful series of S's down the middle. There we go. And I'll be honest with you, it's one of my favorite things about the layout. It's so much fun to drive through those S turns. And they're a challenge because you carry so much speed into the back corner, and then you come right out of that into the series of S turns that really it's a whole different animal. So it's much fun. Yeah, Eric, I agree. I will definitely, the more time I put on a big wood track, I'm going to have to play with some of the gearing. John always talks about gearing. So does Daryl. Car-specific tunes, all the great knowledge with views also have thousands of cars. Correction on issues to rookies would help. Sean, yeah, thanks. those are, that's what we're trying to do. In a lot of my videos, I'm coming at it from a beginner rookie mindset, trying to simplify things. And here's the thing: if you're not out racing, just make your car go fast for your track, right? And then if you go race someplace at a club, then you test how good is your tuning really. But it's not fair to compare that track to your home track, right? You get laps in, you get muscle memory build up for a home track. So there's all kinds of advantages, but there are some specific tuning things that you can do for sure. I think that's a great idea. I like it because the tabs restrict movement too much. Oh, you guys are talking about the 3-point configuration. Yeah, the sides of the pod are clipped on the Elva. Right. Yep. Okay. What else do we have? What time is it? 9:15. Same body, chassis, different motor or gears. Yeah, I think if you do a shootout, those are some of the things you'd have to cover. Bad typing. It's all right. It's all good here. Nothing wrong with the stock Thunder slot mills. Pretty fine running motors for sure. Yeah, I'm super happy with the stock Thunder slot motor. And it's a 21K, I think. I think that's what it's rated. I don't know. The sticker's worn off on this side at the bottom of the car. But yeah, it's a great running motor. Super smooth. That's what I like about them. They are a really smooth motor. Kahuza is a waste of money. I have not messed with them. Daryl, I know you had bad luck. You tried to break one in and it burned up on you. Same body chassis, different motor gears. Question: so when brother raced brother, who won? Sean, I would say Dusty usually gets me when we race digital because he has this pink pig Carrera car that is stinking fast. Holy cow. My Porsche 917 Carrera car is the only car that can keep up with it, and it's still faster than it, I think. It flies around the track. So he usually gets me on digital. On analog, it's just I think I have more laps in than he does. So I can get him sometimes on analog racing on the track. Dusty's being modest. I'd say it's a lot closer than I would say it's more 50-50. I think we're pretty competitive. The thing is we're competitive, but we have fun racing against each other. It's not like we're going to be in a fist fight at the end of the race. And that's what is a joy about it. Like we get on this track and just run laps and have a blast. And that's the best part about racing with my brother. We always have a good time. Let's see. What else? The Kahuza motors aren't really Kahuza. They are motors that Kahuza farmed out. Kahuza 124 stuff, different story. Yeah, I think they wanted in. There's so many cars out there for 132nd. There's so many people racing 132nd. They just needed to jump in. That makes sense, John. Question: does anybody have suggestions for tires for a Revell Jaguar E-Type? My wife's E-Type tires are crap. I'm not having much luck. They're really narrow. Let's see. Question: what do you mean by shootout? Lap times or race? Slot Car Daddy, I think what when I say shootout is it would be all of those things. I would talk about the tuning of each one and how they're the same, how they're different. Any differences in the cars in any way. I would probably run laps in both lanes. I like to do like a timed race, like do a 4-minute race and find out how many laps can I get in 4 minutes. The other thing that I would do, that I used to do, and I guess I still do, is I would do a 10-lap race and see how fast I can finish 10 laps. And that's a good judge of how well I have the car tuned, because I can look at the lap times in 10 laps and see, oh, I went out of the slot there. That's where I made a mistake. I overdrove it here. And there's not so many laps that in the race that I can't analyze the car a little bit and see what's going on. So it would be, lap times, speed, just driving, how well they drove. It would just be a total breakdown of both cars and how they competed against each other, which one I liked better, which one I think would win a race against each other, those kind of things, and then just kind of go out and prove it. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, and just kind of a shootout, just like, like they do on Motor Trend magazine, or just take a look at all the specs and stats and compare. And John, we want to hear your take. Gary, mine was fast out of the box and has just gotten better. Which one? Oh, the Pink Pig. Yeah, Dusty is right, man. That car just hooks up and runs great, and it gets faster and faster and faster. I'm hoping it gets so fast that it burns up the motor and he has to put another motor in it, and it's not as good. Not really. I'm joking. No, but it's a great car. It's fun to drive. I think he let my daughter Maddie drive it for a while one day when we were racing, and she fell in love with it too. But she likes to race the pink Audi R8 that I have when we run digital. And with the kids home, we didn't really get a chance to run slot cars. Maddie did for a few minutes. We had some friends over, and their kids wanted to come down and play on the track, but we didn't really get to have the big race off. Let's see, are those Paul Gauge tires? Sean says that those fit Revell Jaguar E type. There you go. Well done, Sean. Sean Casey was on it. Chris, Slot Car Corner has a drop-down menu that might give you the info you need. What else do we have? CB30F Quick Slicks, Steve Sweeney. Nice. Yeah, 20, 100. Yeah, I think that, I was doing 10 lap race and then a 50 lap race. I didn't, on some of those early shootouts, I didn't do a 100 lap race, mainly just because of time. But I think those are all great things you can really get a sense, you can have a car that over 20 laps is really quick, but maybe it's a little harder to drive. So at 100 laps would be like, it would just wear you down and not be as consistent. If you only have to focus for 20 laps versus 100 laps, might be different. So like this car right here, it drives so good. I could probably get 100 laps in and maybe only come out of the slot 1 or 2 times. And I have not put a slot invasion guide in it yet, which will happen, especially if I do a shootout against the Elva, because it has one. So, but it's one of those things, if it's not broke, don't fix it. This thing just stays in the slot. It really performs well. Really happy with it. And easy to drive. That's right. Maddie and Kellen loved the Pink Pig. Yep, they were fighting over it, if I remember right. 10-minute shootout, laps total versus lap times with every D-slot points lost. Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, I'll have to come up with something. I'll try to make it fun. Yeah, Chris, the quick slits. I don't know if Super Tire has a tire for that Jaguar. I would have to look at their list. Yeah, Career Digital is great when the kids come over. You can slow the speed way down. Yeah, Jeremy, we had there were a couple high school kids, and I started off, let them run about, I don't know, 60%. And they eventually, on the digital, they were running like 80 or 90% with not too many problems. They had a couple D slots, but they were learning to drive. And then I flipped it over on analog and made them run no mags. And I put them in my fly cars here, these two fly cars. And the first 10 or 15 laps, it was all I did was marshal. And then slowly they started getting the hang of like braking. That was what they were, what they didn't have to learn to do very well on digital was braking. But when they were running no magnets analog, like that's when it really came. And then at the end of the night, they were like, we really liked racing those last cars. So it was kind of funny how that transitioned, that they enjoyed the analog racing, no mag racing, because it was more of a challenge. But they loved the pit stop piece to the digital and the announcing. The announcer made it fun for them. So, but yeah, I agree. Yeah, digital racing, fun for kids, especially if you're using the smart. To me, you're using the Smart Race app. It has so many fun features that makes it a lot of fun. Yes, almost infinite amounts of fun doing comparison utilizing one car. Compare motors, gears, guides, tires. Yeah, Shawnee, that is that's cool. I think we'll do that. 2050 100 would be such a long video. And do you restart every time the car goes up? No, don't restart. But I don't know that you would record all 100 laps. I mean, I think you would have to edit that down. And I think what we're after is just some footage of running that race and then the stats of what you found out during that race. So, Marty, is the Elva faster than the NSR 908 on your track? Let's see. So the 908, I have the stock motor back in the 908, which is like the Shark, the 21.5. My Elva, so this is an 8.1 car. This is a 7.4 car on my layout. 25K motor, some mag effect. 21.5 motor, mag effect. I think it's all motor. They both perform really well on the track. They both get around. They're not tail happy. They're kind of locked in. This will run, right around that 8.1. Because of the 25K motor, this eats it up in the big long straight, and that's where it makes up most of its time. They're pretty even through the S turns. So when I had the 25K motor in the 908, it was so much motor for the 908 in this little body. I really wasn't running that much faster than the 21.5 motor. It was almost like it was too much motor for that car. So I think I ran a 7.98 was the fastest with that 25 K motor. And then I'm running 7.4s, 7.5s with the 25K motor in the Elva. So I think the Elva's faster than the 908. Chris? Oh, wait, who asked that question? Sean, sorry. When I do testing, the car cannot deslot over 10 laps or it has to be restarted. That's fair. I understand. Marty, would you get to lap 99 and have to restart, crash, and repeat? No, I think I would it's an overall time, how fast did you do 100 laps? Then you can compare the two times from the cars. And, the deslotting goes in account. It came out of the slot. The timer's still running. That's how I do it. I'm not saying that that's the right way. It's just that's how I do it. A Smart Race weather option on Carrera seems to be faulty. Shane, I would agree. I think the damage is I'm not sure if it's faulty or if it's just I feel like the weather and the Shane, we've talked about this Now that I remember our conversation. Yeah, it resets the weather, resets your CU settings. And so if you're set at 3 on speed and you come in, you put your rain tires on it, it takes it back up to 10. So I think there's some issue there. We find that we don't really run the weather and we don't run the damage. I can guarantee if I'm leading a race, I am going to get damage and have to come into the pits. And I know you can change the settings, but we've not found a happy place with the damage, so we don't run damage either. Just using pits and fuel, like that's all we do. Just build a digital scoreboard. Marty, we need to get a big board to hang up to write all the best lap times on, like Butch has. Yeah, that would be fun. I agree. That would be a great way. I mean, the app does an awesome job of keeping track of all that, and then there's filters in the app. So I can say, I want to know what my magnet track record is. And that would be the black M6 slotted that Daryl sent to crush the track record. And it broke out at 599. That car was fast on the track. But yes, I think you're right. We need a leaderboard. I'll work on that, Dusty. I might have something to do a leaderboard with. Just build a digital scoreboard. Yeah, using Smart Race. Because Smart Race keeps track of all that. Put the hot lap on a piece of tape on the bottom of each car. Says the computer programmer guy, yeah. The Mr. Bean Blues Brother Challenge. The two cars I love to hate. Hey, Neil. 3 hours behind here in BC. Just finished work. Always join late. Neil, no problem, man. We're just happy to have you. You always seem to join, though, right as I'm trying to wrap things up. So I don't know that we accomplished much tonight in this live stream, but it's been fun talking about doing a shootout and talking about tuning some cars. I don't know. You guys have any projects you're working on right now? The crap car challenge. So George, Daryl's kind of been putting me through the crap car challenge because he gave me this car to see if I could tune properly. And it's getting around okay, but it's a fly. Yeah, it's not great. It's been a challenge. I'm finally getting decent lap times out of this thing. So, yeah. So I guess that's part of the crap car challenge is making some slow cars go faster. You could do a time board like Top Gear. Yeah, that would be fun. I want to see someone run the Mr. Bean car under a low bridge at full throttle. Wild Man, no. What did Wild Man want to do? We'll get some just for the Mr. Bean car already. No, I'm not spending money on the Mr. Bean car. Sorry, Wild Man. Or just program it. Smart Race is cool, but your own is cooler. Gave me enough to stay busy tonight. Thanks, Ragtop. Pat, I appreciate that. Quick example. My Shadow, median time, 527. 1725 laps. 62. 12 volt. 2 minute, 20 minutes. 100 lap. A bit under 10 minutes. Nice. So, are you 5:17? So I'm looking at your stats, John. So your median lap time was 5:27. Fast time was 5:17. 25 laps on a 62-foot lane at 12 volts, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And then 100 laps was just under 10 minutes. Okay. I just had to slow my eyes down. I don't have my glasses on. I got some contacts in tonight. I had an eye doctor appointment, and they dilated my pupils. So there after work. I'm inspired to do a Legends video now. Also had fun tonight. Yeah, Jeremy, I do too. But yeah, the Legends cars are fun. They really are. And I tell you what, they're fun to race against other Legends cars on the track. Like, I think that's what made them fun for me, is because we spent a lot of time just getting laps in and trying to get them tuned. And so we spent a lot of time running laps. And we just had a lot of fun. A lot of great crashes. So, oh, sorry guys. Okay, give me a time slot car journal. I'm going to make the Mr. Bean happen. We can be the Top Gear guys, Marty, you, Raul, and myself. There we go. Yeah, there it is. That's right. Do we have to have British accents? See, and then we have to include Dave, because he could teach us how to do that. Paint the, I guess that's part of the craft car challenge. Is making some slow cars go fast, good wheels on that Porsche, and you'll pick up at least 2 seconds. Yeah, that you're right. Ragtop Hat, that the Porsche's problem is, what I did was I trued the wheels, and truing the wheels just slightly, just to make them round. The car gets around the track so much better. Code. I got a Carrera digital car that errors the CPU and starts to spin as soon as it touches the track. Bad chip. So it errors the CPU and starts to spin as soon as it touches the track. I'm trying to remember. It's been so long since I've done digital stuff. What's happening? Does anybody know what's going on with code? Yeah, John, thanks. Yeah, I would say, code, that it's programmed to be a ghost car. So hold it, put it on the track, hit the code button once. You get one light, and see if it stops, and then code it to a controller and see if that fixes it. Great job, John Tucci. I wasn't even thinking ghost car, but yep, that's probably what it is. Question, George, who's Captain Slow then? Me. Yeah, Massimo's the Stig, right? Going to add around 50 feet to my double helix figure 8 with a couple of technical turns this summer. Yeah, Slot Car Daddy, that sounds great. Would love to see pictures of that once you get it done. That's always fun projects. And those are popular YouTube videos when people put layout videos out there. It seems like they get lots of traffic. I've just done enough of them. People are tired of seeing my layout. Yeah, John Albright, who's going to be a Stig? I will be Richard Hammond. I will crash the cars to create more drama. That was a great show, man. I will tell you, I do enjoy. I have a Stig sticker on my Volkswagen Beetle. The mic was on recording thanks to the 5-year-old. That's great. Anyone else do the Piranha motor swap for the NSR F1 cars? Daryl, that's a good question. I don't know if anybody. I don't have an NSR F1. It's on my to-do list. I'll eventually get to it. But I haven't done any playing with the F1s yet. We have a rocket-powered slot car for you to try. Spinning could be a ghost car, but that doesn't explain the faulting. Yeah, Shane. That's a good point. Typically, when a car it makes the CU fault, it's shorting in some way. So make sure that there's nothing in the braids that would be shorting out the track, because that's usually what causes the fault, and the CU to kind of go crazy. Like make sure that, like we had a problem when we first started is we were putting magnets on the bottom of the car, and the magnets, we would cover them up with electrical tape, and this was early days. We were really, really beginners, guys. We thought more magnets were better. We've learned. We've come a long way. But the electrical tape would come off and the magnet would short on the track and it would cause the CU. And the first thing we'd always have to look at is like, okay, whose electrical tape came off the bottom of the car? So you might just make sure it's not shorting out, because that's usually when the CU does that fault thing. That's what's happening, is there's a short someplace. No other car does it. It actually started to smoke when it first started. Yes, you probably do have a bad chip, because that's what was probably smoking. You could probably visibly see where the chip got hot if you take the car apart. So that would probably be a bad chip. It probably wasn't bad, but I would say that you had a short that was on there long enough that it fried that chip. Because that's what happened to the chips in my tech slot box when I did not have lane independence. when the lanes were not isolated. So code, yeah, I would take it. You just inspect that chip. You'll probably, if you had smoke, then you'll find a burnt spot on it, I'm sure. Yeah, screw stuck in the track, possibly. Sometimes in a lane changer. Yeah, the BRM Ferraris, Porsche 917s that were just released are the best 124 scale cars of the entire year. Jake, I do not. I have one of the plastic 124 BRMs, 120, and I love it. It's the Budweiser, what is it? Group C car. But I would like to get my hands on one of the new ones. So I'm glad you like it. I would like to order one. They're just kind of expensive, but it's hard when you can get sometimes almost 3 cars for the price of one of those BRM 124 scale cars. But I need to get one because it'd be good to review for the channel. It would be fun, but they look amazing. Let's see. Later, wild man. Thanks for coming. Guys, be safe. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So yeah, that might be. Yeah, I would. You're dealing with a short. So, guys, I think we've solved all the slot car war problems for tonight. This has been fun. It's been good to get back. Like I missed last night. I really enjoy hanging out with George and Raul and Massimo and on Monday nights. So I'm sorry I missed last night, guys. I'll be there next week. Promise. Smoke is only supposed to come off the tires, says Mad P says. So, but guys, this has been great. I will work on the shootout video and let you know where I land. I'll put some hints out there on Instagram or even in the YouTube posts of what I end up doing the shootout with. But I've got a couple of other things. The magnet Marshall that I'm making. Hopefully I'll try to get that finished and run some tests on it and do some footage of that. So some fun stuff, summer stuff. It's kind of the slow time for YouTube. But we'll keep cranking through the content, and it's all because I enjoy hanging out with you guys. So, guys, thanks. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you like this kind of stuff, and hit the bell so you get notified anytime. Thanks for buying coffee off of Trent. If you supported my coffee guy, thanks for the tips. Yeah, man, you'll figure it out. And code, my email is in my channel description. If you have any other questions, man, feel free to reach out. I'm pretty good about responding to my email fairly quick. I try to keep up with it, even though I'm getting like lots and lots of emails. But it's all fun conversations. So I really appreciate you guys. So enjoy. Have a great time. Go to roastcoffee.com, use 2 lines, and get your discount for coffee. Steve, thanks, man. Glad to have you. Steve, Ragtop. Great stuff tonight. Thanks, Dusty. We'll see you, everyone, next week. Take care. Go have fun racing.